Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. About nine topics. Nine topics for this video. So let's start with the first one. I'm going to enumerate them and then we're going to discuss them in detail. Putin hopes that the West got his message slash threat about hitting Russia deep inside. What does it mean? Why is he saying that? Well, we're going to discuss that. Does he have any knowledge about these guys planning something? I will explain. Israel and Iran, and the United States of America and Iran, that's what's going to be. I told you something is not kosher over there. The Israelis strike there in self-defense, and then stop. Iran hits Israel again, stops. Israel hits Iran, stops. It's never like in a brawl. It's like you attack first, I'm just waiting, and then you stop, and then I attack first and second, and then you just block. Is that how it goes in a war? Sometimes you counter. Well, Israel warned Iran ahead of latest strike. Can you believe that? Of course. I've been saying this for so long that something is not right over there. I'm talking about, what is this? This is a control where I'm going to punch you, I'm going to kick you in the balls. Okay, boop, blocked, let's say. The U.S. Defense Secretary, Mr. Austin Powers, he warns Iran against response to Israel's strike. Who is the United States of America anyway over there? What is it doing over there? Protecting what? Freedom and democracy, our ally? You or we are going to be dragged by the ally in fighting Iran and then Russia and then many others. We are with Russia, but right now we are still indirectly. These guys have no problem telling everybody else, if you touch my boy, my guy in charge of me, and the guy in charge of me tells me to punch you in the face, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm going to expose myself and my family because this boy wants me to do that. In Ukraine, it's not like that. But over here, it's clear. Why? You know who's in charge, don't you? Next one. I think this is a hypocritical article coming from the Telegraph. No wonder. Iran threatens citizens with 10 years in prison for sharing videos of Israeli strikes. Oy vey, let me break my clothes here, right? Like in front of a temple. Anyway, so that's awful, man. You see how bad those guys in Iran? But wait, I remember when the Ukrainians got 4 bloggers that videotaped an attack on Kiev, and they charged them, convicted them, and they are on house arrest as we speak. Otherwise, they go to prison. Not 10 years they go. Let me show you. I made this video about a year ago. 8 years. So Iran is our enemy that wants to wipe someone's ass, and Ukraine is our democratic partner, man. We have to fight against the Russians. So 10 years or 8 years. Man, it's a big difference, isn't it? You can say, yes, Emily, it is. Emily, it is. It shouldn't be. Any. But hey, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this beautiful hypocritical article. Next one. Maduro, the president-elect of Venezuela, like it or not, yes, I mean, it was stolen elections and all that Paganini thing. He met Putin. What do you think they discussed? If Russia is able to secure Maduro's or Venezuela's defense against the Al Capone's plundering session, drunken party, then we, my friends, are in big doo-doo. I will explain. Georgia, the country of Georgia from the Caucasus, they had an election. They had the opposition who was activated by the NGOs by we don't know who, and they destroyed some property. They did this. The government did what it was supposed to do, which is maintain order. And we find out that the guys the West didn't want to won the elections. Obviously, the opposition denies the election. Oh, there's another word. So the word is used only when the bad people that we designate as bad are having questions about an election, then you call them deniers. When our people who lost the election don't like the results and then don't recognize the results, then those are not deniers. Those are just skeptical and that was stolen and all that. So we're going to talk about the Georgian election. Why Georgia is important. If Georgia is won like Ukraine, Victoria Nuland and all the CIA and all that, if that's won by the West, then you're going to have immediately Armenia, which is already lost with the prime minister, which is, I think, on the payroll, MI6. I am 99% certain about that. I don't have any evidence. I have just gut feelings. And since about 51% of our population is entitled to have gut feelings and use them as evidence in our conversation with them, then I think I can borrow that little quality that they have. Oh, you say only they have it? I don't think so. Because if I feel like one of them, I can change it, clip, right now and become one of them. So you're kind of like phobe. You know what I mean? I know exactly. You know what I mean. All right, so Georgian dream wins despite meddling attempts. I wonder by whom and who says that? Man, one of my favorite foreign minister, Mr. Peter Siarto, the foreign minister of the country of Hungary, my dear Romanians. Hey, you Romanians, keep sucking it, okay? Sucking it, because that's, anyway, that's what some cultures have some sayings. Capul plecat, sabia nu taie. That is, the bowed head, the sword is not going to cut it. That means be a sucker, and then, that's the translation. Like, be show humility to your master, in this case, and then they're not going to punish you. How about you stand up and you fight? Oh, no, because you're going to definitely die. Oh, really? Okay. It's not really worth living, as Plato said, I think it was, but living a good life. Okay? So, yeah, life in itself, people come, people go, even these guys, are killing babies in infancies over there and so on, But hey, get them with infected all kind of disease, but life is important. It's important. No, a good life is important. Not. Anyway, we have here the opposition doesn't like the results, and they're not deniers. They just refute the results. Euphemisms. I'm going to show you the map to understand what's going on over there. Former Bolivian president, Mr. Evo Morales' car was attacked. It says here that he survived assassination attempt. There's a video that I'm not going to play because I'm on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't want me to show you things. Right? Why? Because they don't think you can take it. Maybe you can take it, but no, they protect you because they're in charge of your protection as a human being. Another human being just designates himself, I will protect you. I will put you in a cage and I will protect you. Or maybe I got some big chains in the basement. In the basement, I'm going to shackle you over there. Nobody will get you. And I will protect you. Do you look good? All right. I will protect. Oh my God. Anyway, remember, Venezuela and now Morales. Musk. Elon, not Elon. Elon. Okay, because I want, so do something about it. All you can do is just switch. No, Elon. And if you say that's not the correct pronunciation, I would call you a xeno. Why? Because that's the way I say it in my culture. And you have to be very, very flexible and kind. All right. So Elon Musk accuses Biden of lying about his illegal, quote-unquote, work. It's not Biden. I think it's the Biden administration that accused him of doing some hanky-panky with the Russians, I'm guessing. We're going to read that one. And the last one, the last article I will show you about your freedoms in the West. The freedoms, you don't have freedom. You have here temporary privileges because of, or rights, I'm talking about. Because the rights are there from the creator, not the government. The government does not give you the rights. The government is supposed to protect you in the basement, protect your rights that you have, not given by the government, formed by human beings equal to you, supposedly. So I'm going to show you here how your privileges could be suspended when other people decide to do it to protect some against others that they don't like what they say. We have Estonia. Estonia is a country in the Baltic states, the three, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. Total population of these three countries is 6.1 million people. Just so you know put in the context. And Estonia, I think, is at about 1.2 million people. Total population, something like this. The problem is Estonia has 25% ethnic Russian population. So what? 1 in 4 is a Russian. After the fall of the Soviet Union, if I remember correctly, it was Estonia who did not allow the ethnic Russians to take part in a vote. If I remember correctly, maybe just fuzzy memory. They didn't allow these guys to vote because if they would have voted, the cat is here, on ethnic lines, like the Hungarians are doing in Romania, like the other people are doing in the United States of America on racial terms and all that. You don't think so? All right. Because the message resonates with the groups. Everybody in the group thinks the same, right? No. Come over here, meow. Show your face. You don't wanna? All right, sees things. So here we have Estonia thinks about to ban the Russians from voting. Why? Because they're not loyal. Well, we had a problem with loyalty, didn't have in the First World War, in the Second World War, and a certain group that is a very politically correct group was accused of disloyalty. And that's very, 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 very anti, if you say it. All right, no, because it's not true. It's not true, you can't be disloyal. But here these guys say, yeah, the Russians in Estonia, because they could be preferring the Russian evil Putin, maybe their right to vote should be suspected temporarily for about 3,000 years, temporarily. All right, let's go to the first article. This is the democracy, this is the freedom we enjoy. And when we're losing, we just change the rules of the game while we're playing. Only for that particular event where I benefit. When the law should benefit you that I just made, the rule I just made to benefit me will benefit you, we're going to cancel that. Why? Because we're just. We're just. The rule of law. All right, here, Sputnik. Putin hopes West heard his warning against deep strikes into Russia. So people who don't remember what happened, the Americans, the Brits said, yeah, and they wanted the Germans to allow their missiles and all the technology to be able to be used by the Ukrainians, supposedly, to hit targets, only military targets and strategic targets, military, not civilian targets, deep inside Russia with their American technology. Putin said, I'm not an idiot. I know that could occur only with your support of targeting those with your guiding them and getting the right location and all that with your satellites. That means you are actively, directly involved. I think they're already involved. Using also your weapons. So there's going to be you fighting us. If that's so, we just change the doctrine, nuclear weapons use doctrine. That means if you do that, we are at war with you and we just lower the threshold in fucking hitting you. So good job. But these guys have bunkers, you and I don't. Well, I don't care. Why? I don't care in a way that I don't care if I die. Personally, it's just, what can you do? If you can have to pay attention to what I say on YouTube. Even if you say something that is about your life, you can share. Why? Because they think that you do this, you promote that, or whatever you do. When you can't change something, don't bother about being stressed about it. Which I don't think I can have almost any influence. That is 0.0 whatever % influence with us together as of now, with these guys in charge of us who make decisions that could affect us with Russians using nuclear weapons. So why should I bother? I lose sleep that the Russians might nuke us because these guys are doing what they're doing. Can I change that? I know I can't change it now. It doesn't mean I just go to bed and use my money and my whatever I got. No. All right, here. Earlier in September, during Russian Security Council's permanent meeting, Vladimir Putin proposed to discuss updating the foundations of Russia's state policy in the field of nuclear deterrence. Vladimir Putin expressed hope that Western governments heard his warning against striking deep into Russia, and I'm quoting, "They did not report to me, but I hope they heard my warning," Putin said in an interview with Russian journalist Pavel Zarubin. Ukraine cannot independently use long-range weapons. That's it. This can only be done by specialists from NATO countries. So they will not allow a baboon to ride a bicycle, no, or a Ferrari. They will not allow that. Which is why, and I'm not ignoring that's not meant to insult the Ukrainians. I just gave you they're not going to allow the Ukrainians use, I don't think they use the Patriot systems. I don't think the Ukrainians use the Abrams tanks or the Challenger or the, what the other guy is, Leopard 2 tanks. They don't do that. I don't think they operate the HIMARS. I don't think they will be ever going in a cockpit of a F-16 to take off. That's another one. So why? Are you crazy? You're going to give us those sophisticated weapons that can be transferred to Russia overnight by some rogue Ukrainians? That's why I'm talking. Not that they're incapable. That's not what I mean. All right, I have to say this in this world, man, just to avoid misunderstanding by the guys in charge of our gates of truth. And we are democracy and freedom of speech, and fuck me, Freddy. Which is why the issue is not about granting permission to Kiev to use such weapons against Russia, stated Russian president. It's not a matter of whether someone is allowed to use this weapon against Russia. I have already talked about this in my very first statement. Ukrainian forces cannot use this weapon independently, Jesus Christ, Putin said. The Ukrainian army cannot do this on its own. What's happening now is being done by NATO officers. What's happening now is being done by NATO officers. The only question is whether they will allow themselves to carry out strikes deep into Russian territory or not. That is the question. Now, do you think Putin tells the truth or he's lying? Well, it's up to you to discover that. I don't think he is lying. I think he's telling the truth. Why? During my research and going around the block a few times, I think he's 100% accurate on that. You don't have to trust me. I don't ask you to trust me whatsoever. I want you to listen to what I say, since you're here, and I want you to verify. And if you don't find the answer, I guarantee you're going to find the answer. Why? I don't lie, and I don't lie by omission. That's very important, right? I don't lie to you. I mean, in life, sometimes you have to, no, I don't have the money. Yes, I have the money. I can't pay for this, but you can, when you negotiate things. Oh, no, I didn't fuck her, or I didn't fuck him. Or you have to sometimes. Otherwise, the consequences. And since we are humans and we are weak, included, right? We are weak at times. You don't want to screw up your life because of a baboon right here. So you lie. No, I'm not encouraging you to lie. I'm just making it like funny. Maybe it was not. But nevertheless, my friends, I trust him, not trust him. What he said, I think, is accurate, and that could be backed up with evidence. If I need to tell you my evidence, probably I should talk about 40 minutes here. And I don't think you will be still standing here with me 40 minutes to listen to me. That's the only reason. Now that you will lose track, there will be not too many of you that probably want to hear the evidence. I already spoke too much about it. Let's move on. Russia Today. What's going on here? Israel warned Iran ahead of latest strike. Axios, according to Russia Today. What is this? IDF warplanes launched multiple missiles early on Saturday, targeting a number of facilities in the Islamic Republic, not the Iranian state. No, Iranian state. Israel relayed a warning to Iran through several third parties ahead of its missile strike against the Islamic People's Republic of Iran on Saturday. Axios has reported citing 3 anonymous sources. What if, my friends, why I'm doing this? I'm doing this to see how to think about things. What if I tell you now that I have 3 anonymous sources? I'm not going to tell you anything about it. They told me that actually it was the Romanians who launched the attack. Now, they were launching the attacks from Israel because it's about 50,000 Romanian troops I've been heard undercover in Israel helping them. You would say, you're crazy. Where is your evidence? So I wanted to do the same thing when you ever read an article coming from anybody, including an article or anything, and someone says, reported or some persons familiar with the issue or with the matter, or anonymous or unnamed sources. For you, there should be, that's it. You lost me. If I don't know the name And you know what the reason is they don't give you the name? Confidentiality reasons. But can I use the same confidentiality policy? And if not, why not? Are they better than us? They lied to us. I didn't, so I have more credibility. There you go, anonymous sources. Is it true? I don't know. Is it possible? 100%. Probable? I would give it, the way I know things, they are 99%. According to the media outlet, West Jerusalem indicated that what types of targets it would attack while cautioning Tehran against retaliating. So only I can punch you, and then you can punch me maybe, or maybe not. Earlier on Saturday, Israel Defense Forces spokesperson Daniel Hagari reported that Israel forces were conducting precise strikes on military targets in Iran. The operation reportedly, codenamed Days of Repentance, oh my god, here we fucking go again, some religious connotation, was being launched, and I'm quoting, in response to months of the Israelis made it clear to the Iranians in advance that they are going to attack in general, and what they are not going to attack, Axios reported. The US media outlet asserted that they reflected an attempt to limit the ongoing exchange of attacks between Israel and Iran and prevent a wider escalation. So that is, I have to be the one who initiate, and I should be the same one who ends it? No, I don't want that. You may say, well, they didn't initiate it. Well, that's very discussable. Very much discussable. I don't remember the Iranians moving into the Middle East lately, but I heard someone else moving into the Middle East. Right? You got the hint? All right. That's not only that. I'm not saying they should not be been formed, but something else should have been formed as well, and not by displacing a population from their land. It should have been done differently, more understandably. Not you get them out and then you can't come back. And when those guys launch on you, we will attack the second we formed our little beautiful, how should I call it? Now they said over the repentance. We should have to go again and think in those kind of terms. So that's why they say, I hit you, now you don't hit me. What would Iran do? What do you think? Probably Iran is going to downplay this attack and say, we hit all of them, so fuck them, we're not going to retaliate. And see when the Israelis will again retaliate. Because Israelis' retaliations are not one time. The retaliations are from now on. We're going to still. So this is not going to be it. The Israel is going to defend itself, Israel, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Iran if they want, wherever they want. And they will say, because we have the blanche card of self-defense, that's responding to you, something you did that we point out, but you can't use the same thing. That's garbage. That's not my concern. My concern is when my imbeciles, right here, U.S. Defense Secretary warns Iran against response to Israel strike. Did you hear anybody else telling Israel, warning against response? Why not? Because we are conditioned to think that we have the good and the evil and the bad, right? Or the good, the bad, and the whatever, the ugly. This is our country. It's going to use your people, well, not me personally, we're going to use your parents, the American citizens, our resources to fight for someone else's garbage. Repentance, remember? They are not like that, but anyway. Let's move on. Iran threatens citizens with 10 years in prison for sharing videos of Israeli strikes. And this is supposed to be like, oh, see, Israel is just a dictatorship, tyranny. Iran has threatened citizens with lengthy prison sentences for sharing footage, just for sharing footage of Israeli strikes while officially confirming attacks on military facilities across 3 provinces. All right, so, do you remember this video? And if you don't, I want you to go and watch it. That's an order. This is Ukraine's, quote-unquote, Western values. 4 female bloggers under house arrest face up to 8 years in prison. This was made, oy vey, on June 2nd, 2023. So more than a year and a half almost, right? A year and a half, and that was the attack on Kiev, and they said that the Patriot systems destroyed Kinzhal missiles, the hypersonic missiles. And the video that posted by a Ukrainian blogger, female blogger, that's over there, it's misogyny right there, right? She was just targeted because she's a female. She videotaped how the engaged Patriot system got a little bit flamed like that. That means he was hit. This guy said, no, nothing was hit. But this guy said, what about this evidence? And that's the reason why. And then the Americans showed up over there and said, well, it's just a scratch. Fixed. And we were like, okay, there's the government's evidence. It doesn't mean that you can have some imbeciles. They're going to say, yeah, that there was nothing. And they know what they need to say. Oh, where are you going here? So the same here. Remember that video? Eight years? But hey, we fight for them. We give them hundreds of billions of dollars and more to come. Maybe your blood in this or all this for this democracy. But they're at war. But the other ones are not at war. Double standard? Oh, I mean, this is so baboonish. Next one. Sputnik. What did Putin and Maduro discuss during BRICS summit? This guy here sits on top of the assessed biggest reserve of oil on this planet. And it's not Saudi Arabia or supposedly this guy in Venezuela is the richest oil that it was found. That's how I think it was announced about 8 months ago. And that's a lot of Amoco and Sunoco and Shell and BP that want that. And this guy doesn't give them like that. That's why he's an evil guy. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has said that he discussed energy and defense industry cooperation with Russian President Vladimir Putin at the BRICS summit held this week in Russia, Kazan. We discussed with President Putin efforts to comprehensive development of our cooperation, including collaboration in energy and defense industry cooperation. They say defense industry cooperation. Will there be a training? There's going to be a training, or is it going to be only weapons? I think it's going to be everything. And when the Russians land over there, the Americans' coup d'etat could not work as it worked in other countries. Why? Look at Turkey's Erdogan 2016. Some people say there were some Russian Spetsnaz over there that helped. Maybe, but where the Russians got, these guys had to work harder. So yeah, energy, we're going to keep this safe for us. And you and I, my friends in America, we have to tap in our resources here. But hey, I think the wind blows in America more than everywhere else. And the sun shines harder or stronger than everywhere else. So we're going to have renewable energy. Oh, my pussy hurts. And we're going to have a better life with all that energy. Okay? And now go over there, pay your taxes, put your mask on, take your naps, shut the fuck up, pay your taxes, as I said. And that's it, man. Drive your car with a mask on. And booster up to date. And this is America, the brave, the home of the land, and let's go to Georgia. So yeah, the Russians could put some defense forces in, just how do you call them, some peacekeeping forces, or they're going to have some trainers, like these guys have in Ukraine. They call them what? Military trainers, sometimes advisors. Remember what kind of advisors we had in Korea? Remember those guys were actively fighting, and in Vietnam, actively fighting. Let's see what happens in Georgia. Sputnik, Georgian Dream, that's the name of the party, gains about 54.2% of votes with data from 99% of the polling stations counted. All right. The ruling party, Georgian party, gains about 54.2% of votes in the parliamentary elections after data from almost 99% of polling stations has been counted, the Central Election Commission of Georgia. That means they cheated because these guys are not pro-Western, because they have to be pro-Western because we're good. We're good. You got it? That's the way it is. Georgian Dream wins despite meddling attempts. Hungarian foreign minister. Who's that? Mr. Peter Giarto or Siarto. Who meddled? The Russians, obviously. They all meddled. All meddled, my friends. The people of Georgia expressed their will in the elections despite attempts to interfere from outside, as a result of which the ruling patriotic party Georgian Dream won by a large margin, Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Siarto said. Despite attempts to interfere, and I'm quoting, the people of Georgia made it clear what they want. They don't care. When they ask us to go and vote, they want, how do you call it, us to confirm their decision. That's what this is. The voting in the United States of America is a confirmation of the system working, and we confirm. And they have you voted for this guy. Yeah, I know. We put it in front of you. We put it in front of you to vote out of two baboons, which are one actually in what they do and how they going to follow orders. But hey, we want you to validate the system and validate our choice. You don't see it that way? You will see it that way. With life, you will see it that way. The patriotic ruling party, which supports the family, I'm quoting, won the elections with an overwhelming advantage. Bravo, congratulations, end quote. Siarto said on social media. He added that Hungary would continue to support Georgian friends in their effort to integrate into Europe, both during and after its EU presidency. Right here, there's the same one. And here, Georgian Dream wins election as opposition refutes the results. Refutes, not denies, refutes. Is that a synonym? Of course, the results published. Georgian Dream has 55.326% of votes. A Coalition for Change, change into what the fuck, has 10%. Unity National Movement Party has 9%, 10%. Strong Georgia has 8.5%. And Gaharia for Georgia Party has 7.45%. These guys are not democratic because they don't have only two parties. That means they're not. We are the pinnacle of democracy. And if you go like this, from more parties to less parties, we are one step from being one party system. But hey, it's good over there, but you like diversity. my friends. So there you go. Let's see what these guys are saying. So after the publication of the CEC data, three opposition parties, Coalition for Change, Unity National Movement, and Strong Georgia, announced that they would not recognize the election results. Deniers, like Trump and people like blah, 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 blah. As some exit polls indicate their aggregate victory. Exit polls is not voting. One of the latest of the Coalition for Change, Ellen Costaria, said that the party has been embarking on continuous protests since 27th of October. Protests. Organized by whom? Funded by whom? By just spontaneous, the will of the people. But here, they deny the will of the people. Why? Because they didn't vote the way some people in the West in charge of us want them to vote. Here is a extended, stretched map of the Caucasus between Black Sea and Caspian Sea. This is Georgia. This is Armenia. You can read as well. This is Russia right here, or the Russian Federation, let's put it this way. And what do we have here? Georgia. If this falls, remember, Armenia cannot be helped by Turkey for obvious past events. Iran will not help them for current events. Azerbaijan definitely not. Dagestan no, and these guys will not. So they need Georgia to have a little access to the Black Sea in order to maybe be supplied with some weapons. So Armenia cannot talk too much shit with their MI6 guy until Georgia falls. And then I made a video, I think yesterday, where some guy here, I named him, he said that he was asked, a previous politician high up in Georgian government said that they were asked by the Americans to open a new front against Russia here in the Caucasus. Now, where is this located? Just remember this side. So where my cursor goes up and down here. This is on the bottom of, so this is Ukraine, this is the Crimean Peninsula, and it's right on here. Let me see, what do I have here? Boom. So this part right here, this right here is what you see. Where is that? Where you see right here. This corner is Abkhazia. Abkhazia is right in this area here. Okay, now, where am I? Voila, je suis ici. What else? Next one. Former Bolivian president survived assassination attempt. Maduro, if you remember, his plane was downed. Orders to land, I think it was in France or Spain, I think it was France, to check for Edward Snowden coming from Moscow, remember? And his presidential airplane was violated, according to these guys, by some CIA coming in and checking for Snowden. It's disputed, but you can't just force someone else's plane to go there and then you impound it and you go and check it. That's the Maduro. And I think in Iran he's charged, or not charged, he's not charged, charged I think with some allegations of sexual misconduct with a lady, all right, or a woman. Shots have been fired at Evo Morales' car, according to footage posted on his social media. Bolivian former president has survived an assassination attempt. The video published on the Facebook page on Sunday suggests the politician was reportedly unharmed in the attack, which allegedly has left his driver injured. I'm not going to show you that on this. Yeah, because when these guys don't like someone, they like, where is that? Georgia elections. When you don't win, then you're a denier, right? And you want to change the rules, or maybe overthrow a government like in 2014 in Ukraine by we don't know who. Let's move on. Russia Today. Musk accuses Biden of lying about his illegal quote-unquote work. The incumbent US president had accused the Tesla and SpaceX CEO of being hypocritical about immigration. Elon Musk has denounced Joe Biden for saying the businessman had been and I'm quoting, illegal worker before he became the wealthiest man in the world. So can you imagine the president of a country dealing with a citizen and saying that? Do you understand that the level of conversation is so low in this country? Over there, it's a Hollywood, it's like a theater, it's like a kabuki. And remember, in the kabuki, only the men were allowed to be playing, and not the women. Only when having masks, women masks and men masks or whatever. So you deal, as a president, you deal with a guy. You can say, well, he's a billionaire. Still. He was a nigger. He was. I think your cock is 2 inch long, and you have only one ball or something. That's going to be next in our political discord or debates. Do you remember the movie Idiocracy? Remember President Camacho? Remember when he didn't like what those guys were saying and they did not agree with him? He took an automatic weapon and in the Congress and said, "That's what I thought." Exactly. That's where we are. We are one step to get to that point. The problem is the baboons. Their level is so lowered by the education, but hey, 1 in 3 in America adults, they have a college degree. They were so degraded in there that they don't see, wait, you are the president of a country. You are dealing with that guy about that thing? You're going to spat? I always thought that president of a country has to do with major geopolitical issues, with things that we cannot understand. No, he's dealing with a guy who can say what the fuck ever he wants. Well, if you don't see anything wrong with that, go and vote. If you don't see anything. Joe Biden has announced Joe Biden, all right, being an illegal worker because he became the wealthiest man in the world. In response to the claims that Tesla and SpaceX CEO made posts accusing the incumbent president outright lying and saying losing the election was making the Democrats desperate, end quote. And I'm quoting again. I was in fact allowed to work in the US. The Biden puppet is lying. So if you say that, obviously you be charged, taken to court. Was it libel? What is it? Destroy someone's, not libel, I think it's in writing. But nevertheless, it is in writing, right? Musk wrote on X forum, they know this as they have all my records. Yeah, but you can argue that's why they say that. But I don't think Elon Musk will say this. But who has the evidence? Musk and the US government. And I'm quoting, so now he cares about illegals, end quote. He quit in conclusion. Yeah, so now he cares about that, huh? Biden remarks made on Saturday follow the Washington Post report that alleged, citing Musk's former business associates, court records and documents, that the businessman obtained a work visa in 1996 after he had already been working in the country without one. At the same time, the billionaire was launching his startup Zip2, an IT company that provided and licensed online city guide software for newspapers. So, all right, in fact, I was in fact allowed to work in the US. Well, I don't know. And I'm quoting, the wealthiest man in the world turned out to be an illegal worker here when he was here. That's what Biden says, the president. All right, he was supposed to be in a school when he came on a student visa. He was working, he was violating the law, and he's talking about all these illegals. Why are those illegals in the first place here, you fuck up? Remember when you put your whatever cock hand on your on the Bible, whatever you put over there, the Constitution, and you swore allegiance, domestic and foreign enemies? Do you remember that one? Any person that breaks the law should be punished, including you. The full extent of whatever the law requires. So yeah, now he cares about the illegals. The guy says, yes, why we have this big problem? I don't know. Let's move to the last article here. Coming from Russia Today. EU states Prime Minister warns Russians banned from voting. Once, Russians banned from voting. And Russia is a threat to Estonia, and its citizens should not be able to influence the country's affairs. Kristen Michal said, is this a woman? Where is your empathy? I heard that you have more empathy than others. So remember, when these guys are telling you about the man, and they tell you about the, how do you call that, patriarchy and so on, remember that the biggest, I think the biggest empire on this planet with a lot of colonialism was the British Empire. And if you still remember, in charge of the British Empire was a woman, the Queen. So you got to be consistent, all right? So when you say that these guys fucked us up, and then she was sending men to fight her wars. Do I need to say anything more? Use that as a counter-argument to the baboons. But they think that you don't know that. Russian citizens living in Estonia should be barred from taking part in local elections regardless of their views on the Ukraine conflict, the Baltic States Prime Minister Kristen Michal, I would say, has insisted. Russian speakers made up 20% of Estonia's population, or just under 1.4 million, according to Estonian government. Or there's not... So, 20. I thought it was... Let me go to Wikipedia, because I think it's Estonia has 24%. Let me go and see. Well, we got something in between. None of us were accurate. But anyway, Republic of Estonia. And, right, it says here, ethnic groups. 22% Russians. Out of 2024 in 2024. That's what it is. And the population was, is another thing, right? I think this is. They have a population here somewhere. All right. Yes, the Estonian language, official language, the first language of majority of the population of 1.4. I said 1.2. So close. Not that. This. No. Here. All right. Of just under 1.4 million. Under the NATO country's law, only Estonians under the country's laws, only Estonian citizens can elect members of the parliament. I think that should be accurate, known as papapap. However, the right of all permanent residents to vote in local elections was granted in 1992 Constitution, okay, which also controversially denied hundreds of thousands of ethnic Russians living in the former Soviet Republic the right to citizenship. This woman, the Prime Minister I think she is, told the EER media outlet on Friday that, and I'm quoting, Russia is a security threat, and Russian citizens should not have a say in Estonians' affairs, just like Belarusian citizens. What if they have, let's say, dual citizenship? Their right to vote must be suspended or taken away. Oh, so they have a right to vote, must be suspended or taken away. The Prime Minister and Chairman of the Reform Party, which has the most legislators in the papapap, insisted. The Reform Party, which rules in a coalition with Social Democratic Party, the Communists, and Estonia 200, is ready to amend legislation or go as far as changing the constitution to make sure Russian citizens are banned from local elections, he stressed. Yeah, but there's not a direct quote. It's just Russia Today's interpretation of what they say. So it could be some nuances there. Let's see if we have. All right, earlier on Friday, SDE leader suggested that Russians who are loyal to Estonia and oppose the government in Moscow should have the chance to take part in municipal votes. That means only the ones with the right views. The ban on voting should only affect citizens of Russia who the Estonian police have found to be a security threat. You can give an order, you can find them all security threat. According to SDE leader, in this case, only a third of Russians would be eligible to take part in elections. They call them Russians, but this is again how the Russia Today writes this article. The next municipal election in Estonia is taken place on October 2025. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, the great Maria Zakharova, said earlier this year that the former Soviet Republic has been, and I'm quoting, turned into a mini totalitarian regime. Estonia has been a strong backer of Ukraine, providing Kiev with over 500,000 in military aid and calling for increasing tougher measures against Moscow. When Estonia gained independence, this is why I know about, this is what I talked about and I knew, but it was because they couldn't vote. That's the consequence. For all those guys who wrote some comments that there was never a law barring the ethnic Russians voting, but they were refused citizenship, which actually actively denies you the right to vote. So remember this one, I'm going to remember. When Estonia gained independence in 1991, hundreds of thousands of ethnic Russians living in the former Soviet Republic were refused citizenship. That means you can't vote. This prompted many holders of the so-called Estonian alien passports to eventually choose Russian citizenship while remaining in the country. It's tricky. It's tricky. But my point is this. When these guys want to change the rules while playing and losing, they will do so. And then they will find some media operatives to give you a spin, and the baboons will buy it, because you make sure you lower the IQ of a population, you give them diplomas, you confuse them and think them delusional, make them delusional. I'm educated because I have a college degree, which is not inaccurate. You're educated if you know things, and how you know to bring the evidence together and come with conclusions. That's what it is. You can have no diplomas, but be a smart guy, very well read, and maybe start a war. I'm sorry. So here it is, my friends. Remember, lower the level, give them the spin with your operatives, and you're safe. And change the rules whenever you want. These guys will cover. And then obviously infringe the freedom of speech, so you can't have the guys who are gonna call you out, be heard by the baboons. Not even try to access the baboons. And remember, the baboons will be used to fight wars by the female Prime Minister of Estonia and the Queen of England, now the King of Great Britain. Okay, thank you very much for being with me again today, my friends. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.